Hi everyone. Okay, so the assignment XR Template 2021 update assignment. So we're just going to update that. The Unity version is 2021.3.17 or thereabouts. Uh, and there might be a newer one. It's okay as long as the situation works for you at the moment. I'm not gonna worry about the version exactly. But the important part is getting the branch of the XR template so that you can get it and make changes and then fork it. So one of them is you can just click the link and it takes you to GitHub. And that's good because it's a Grid Social XR template 2021. No troubles there. Now, one of the things you can do from here that works is you want to clone it. You can say open with GitHub Desktop. And it says, hey, do you want to open with GitHub Desktop? And I say, sure. And it now opens the desktop and it says, do you want to clone this? And you're like, yeah, I do want to clone it. And that means it's like get your own copy. So this is the process of like getting your own area set up and ready to go. So it says local path, it tells you where it's going to be, gives you the name of it, and we hit clone. And this is it. It's just copying all the stuff to your computer, all the files, the whole project, and everything that you need. And it takes space. It's not very big, but it's a little bit. So you got to get that opening up and running. So let's wait for that to come through. Sweet. All right, it's come back. We're ready to go. So now it basically shows um, the project information. So it's like we haven't made any changes, so it says 0 changes. It has a history, what's changed over time, things like that. So um, what is it? It gives you that cool stuff. You can open in Visual Studio Code, show an Explorer, view on GitHub. So basically, this tells us that we're ready to go and nothing has changed. And so you want to leave this up and running while you're working. But now that we have it, we need to do the next thing, which is we have to add it to Unity and open it in Unity. So I'm just going to drag that over, and we have Unity Hub, and we want to do add project from disk. And mine it's in GitHub. I scroll down and I find the XR template and I say add the project. Now it's added, but my version of Unity is different than your version. So mine's at 23.16, 2018.f is the latest one. So essentially this is a little bit time consuming, but you pick the one that matches the editor version. But if you can't get the right one, you can say, we're going to run it on a different version of it. So like I'm going to force it to run on 2021 3.16 just because that's the one that's on my computer. So missing editor, you can pick the one that is there and hit install. And for now, it'll do all the right stuff. Um, no, hang on a second. I'm not trying to install the new editor. I'm making the same mistake. It's like if you were going to, you would just do this and install the matching editor. I'm actually going to try to make it open up the editor in the wrong version. So do the right thing, get the right software, get it to match. Otherwise, pick something new. But here, I have to say, what's the version I have on my computer? I have 2022, 13, I have 14. That's the old version. That's what I was thinking of doing. So if I click the old version, it'll change the version. It's going to backport it to the old version. And if you have a newer one, it'll forward port it. Main part is that by the end of the class, we need to all be on the same page. And it gives us this message saying, hey, you want to do this thing? And I'm saying, yeah, we got to do this thing. And when we do that, it goes to the Unity Package Manager, and it's going to just resolve all the conflicts. So this is another time-consuming activity. So, get a drink of water, coffee, whatever, but keep an eye. It takes a little bit of time, but it'll get done. Okay, that finally got done. I'm going to skip the new version over here. So this is the scene in Unity. I'm on a Windows machine, but what we need to do is it basically whenever you do an upgrade, it doesn't remember what scene I was developing in. So we need to go to scenes And sample scene is the one that we want. And just double click sample scene and it loads it into the screen here. So this sets up the AR setup. If you're using it with the exact versions and no changes, you can actually just go in and complete the assignment by replacing this with a custom object. So that's the base model, but there's one more thing if you're in Windows. In order to get the simulation to work, so if you hit the play button, it plays the game, but it says, hey, you have a problem. And what's going on is it's expecting a special environment called a mock environment. And this is so that we can simulate different spaces. So Virtual Studio is what we use to set those up. So under here it says mock, so it's going to select the right thing. But the mock scene is like a living room, a park pond, exterior scene, a meshed interior. You can pick any of these to work with, but these are what we're now going to simulate. So once I pick that, and I can grab this and dock it even. So let's go back to scene, and now I hit the play button, and what it does is it knows to run the mock scene. So here's the scene. If I use my mouse, I can go zooming up and down. I can right click and drag the scene around, and I have WASD, so WASD. I can do this. Q is down, E is up, and the click button has the put the little car places, so it'll basically put the little car and let the car drive around, right? And that's this thing that we're replacing. So I'll unplay here, and if I click on the replace me, I can use a shortcut placing the F key. It'll zoom in on the car. So that's what I'm trying to replace. And for this example, you can go out and find 3D objects. You can do a bunch of different things, but there are 3D shapes put in Unity that we can work with. So what I'm going to just do is I'm going to set this car here. I'm going to select the car parts, but I'm going to uncheck this box, and that checkbox is actually disabled. So I'm just disabling it, but leaving everything the same. So one of the things we can do is put our own, like, just like a current, a temporary 3D object. Like, we'll have time to come up with other kinds of cool stuff. But like if I get a cube or a sphere, I can do a capsule or a cylinder. So let's say I put a capsule here. So now there's a capsule in where this was. So if I click out of it, and now that I hid the other one by deactivating or inactive, making them inactive, I hit play again, and you'll see the same scene. But now when I click, it's the little capsule that should show up. There it goes. I had to hit the right spot for some reason. So I go forward, capsule. So I think because I'm screen capturing, I'm having a little bit of trickiness with like getting the capsule to travel around, but it still does function. The whole goal is to just get something like a capsule or something in place to do it. Let's do unplay. I hit play again, and we're back in the world. And if I click enough, I can get it here. So the other part is getting familiar with a different scene. So I'm going back to Virtual Studio. And instead of living, I'm going to do exterior scene, and I'll hit play. And this is the idea, is we're going to scan in the environment. We're going to change it around, but here we go. So now you can see that this is, yeah, this environment's a little better for the capsule, because things are, there are objects that get in the way, that block and stuff like that. And that's in sort of real life. Things get behind something. So anyway, as long as this clicking is working for you, that's pretty good. Let's see. Well, let's pretty much put a capsule or a 3D object in place. And that's all pretty much the default values. And that's what I was asking to do, is just get something like that going, just so you have all of those steps and some things moving around. Okay, so now if once you do the activity, you have to turn it in. So here's the next part. Hit exit. Now we've already worked with that portion of like Unity, so we don't need to go there. But we need to go back to GitHub Desktop. And I put GitHub Desktop right over here. And you'll see that there are parts of the project that have changed. And you'd say like, you can say my latest, like added capsule, right? So you might need to make it descriptive. And then as you read, he says, you don't have write access to the XR template 21. Do you want to create a fork? That's important because we're going to have your work area versus my work area. And we're going to do pull requests to pull everything together. So long story short is we need to commit the changes. I'll hit commit. And the idea would be that I want to push the changes to where I can store them. And this is the part where it says, hey, this is the first time you've done this. Do you want to fork this repository? And yes, you do want to fork it because it's going to be what you're working on so that you have your spot. So click fork this repository. Then once you've done that, it asks you, do you want to contribute to the parent project or do you want it to use for your own purposes? Well, what we're doing is we're like working on this thing, adding stuff, and it's going to go into a big parent project. So like all of our project stuff gets turned in. I'm going to validate all the pull requests and we're able to work together, making your own changes, testing them, sharing amongst your friends, and then the pull requests going to the parent location, which is like the assignments and the various things. So when we do the final project, it can be coordinated and multiple people can work on it. So we want to contribute to the parent project, so we hit continue. Now this is pushing to your origin, so this is for you to save it, and what it does is it goes to your GitHub. So if you look at your GitHub, you now have the project, but it's also on the other, like the Grid Social XR area. So this is, so it shows you both, like both the places. So let's see, should view on GitHub. Yeah, so it shows us that. Okay, so we push the change. Now there's one more really important thing is we need to do a pull request. And I think I messed it up because I have write permissions to everything. I did. Okay, so the thing that I forgot to do was that we worked in what's called main, the main branch, and I asked everybody to make their own fork. So we did some work and we did all that, but we need a new branch on main.